Shakur Stevenson has confidently predicted that if Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez face off this September during the Mexican Independence Day weekend, Crawford will dominate the fight and make it look effortless. Stevenson believes that Crawford's superior skills, precision, and boxing IQ place him on a completely different level from most fighters, even though Crawford is naturally much smaller than Canelo and has never competed in the super middleweight division. Critics, however, argue that Crawford's past performances, while impressive, don't necessarily demonstrate his readiness for such a monumental challenge. Victories like his razor-thin decision over Israel Madrimov and his knockout win over an injury-plagued, weight-drained Errol Spence have led some to question whether he can handle a physically dominant and experienced fighter like Canelo. Despite the doubts, Stevenson remains adamant that Crawford's unique abilities could shine through, regardless of the size difference. Some boxing analysts believe that for Crawford to truly earn a fight against Canelo, he needs to first prove himself against top-tier contenders in higher weight divisions. Names like David Benavidez, the winner of the anticipated Artur Beterbiev vs. Dmitry Bivol rematch, and rising star David Morrell are frequently mentioned as opponents who could serve as necessary tests for Crawford. Facing and defeating these fighters would not only validate Crawford's standing as a legitimate contender at super middleweight, but also make his eventual clash with Canelo more of a genuine sporting event rather than a high-profile celebrity match. Such a series of fights would also align with boxing's traditional structure of fighters earning their shots at championship-level opponents. While Stevenson clearly sees Crawford's talent as undeniable, critics argue that bypassing these challenges diminishes the credibility of the sport and overlooks fighters like Benavidez and Morrell, who have long been waiting for their chance at Canelo. Stevenson, however, praises Crawford for his fearlessness and commitment to his craft, pointing out that Crawford reportedly isn't even asking for a rehydration clause in the fight against Canelo. This is significant, as many fighters demand such clauses when facing larger opponents to limit their weight advantage on fight night. Canelo's reputation as one of the biggest names in boxing adds an extra layer of intrigue to the potential matchup, but Stevenson feels Crawford's sharpness, speed, and technical prowess could neutralize Canelo's size and strength. While many fans and analysts debate whether Crawford has done enough to warrant this fight, Stevenson's unwavering confidence in Crawford highlights the belief that talent and skill can sometimes outweigh traditional pathways in boxing. Ultimately, this potential fight raises important questions about what it truly takes to earn a shot at the biggest names in boxing. Some critics argue that Crawford's rapid rise to a potential matchup with Canelo bypasses the tests and challenges that traditionally define a fighter's path to greatness. Meanwhile, others believe Crawford's unique skill set and accomplishments justify the hype, regardless of whether he has faced the toughest contenders in the higher weight classes. If the fight does happen, it promises to be a spectacle that captures massive attention worldwide, with Crawford's speed, precision, and technique clashing against Canelo's power, experience, and resilience. Whether this matchup solidifies Crawford's place in boxing history or further elevates Canelo's legendary career, it has the potential to become one of the most memorable and talked about showdowns in the sport's recent history. One of the most intriguing aspects of a potential Terence Crawford vs. Canelo Alvarez fight is the sheer contrast in their fighting styles and career trajectories. Crawford, known for his technical brilliance and adaptability, has spent his career dismantling opponents with precision and ring intelligence. Canelo, on the other hand, combines brute strength with masterful counterpunching, making him a powerhouse in multiple weight classes. The size difference between the two is undeniable, but Stevenson's confidence in Crawford's ability to overcome these odds suggests that this fight could be more competitive than some might think. Fans are drawn to the idea of a smaller, faster fighter taking on a larger, more physically imposing opponent, and Crawford's potential to shock the boxing world adds a layer of excitement to the matchup. However, not everyone agrees with the notion that Crawford has earned the right to fight Canelo. Critics argue that there are more deserving contenders at super middleweight, such as David Benavidez and David Morrell, who've spent years building their cases for a shot at Canelo. These fighters have proven themselves against top-tier competition in their respective weight classes, and their physical attributes align more naturally with the challenges Canelo presents. Skipping over these contenders to grant Crawford, the fight could be seen as undermining the traditional merit-based system in boxing. This criticism highlights the ongoing tension in the sport between pure competition and the commercial appeal of high-profile matchups. For Crawford, this fight represents a chance to cement his legacy as one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of his generation. While his past victories, including his dominant win over Errol Spence, have already solidified his reputation, defeating Canelo would elevate him to legendary status. It's an opportunity for Crawford to showcase his skills on a global stage and prove that his talent transcends weight divisions. At the same time, the fight carries significant risk. If Crawford were to lose, it could tarnish his reputation and provide ammunition for critics who question his readiness for such a challenge. The stakes are incredibly high, which is part of what makes this potential matchup so compelling. On the other side, Canelo has just as much to gain and lose. A victory over Crawford would further establish his dominance across weight classes and add another elite name to his resume. However, a loss to a smaller fighter like Crawford could damage his legacy and raise questions about his standing among boxing's all-time greats. The fight also presents a stylistic challenge for Canelo, as he would have to contend with Crawford's speed, movement, and technical mastery. Whether or not this fight happens, the conversation surrounding it has already ignited excitement among fans and stirred debates about merit, legacy, and the future of boxing as a sport. The potential showdown between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez is more than just a fight. It's a collision of legacies, a test of skill versus size, and a spectacle that could redefine modern boxing. If this matchup comes to fruition, it could symbolize Crawford's audacious attempt to climb the mountain of greatness, taking on an opponent widely regarded as one of the most dominant forces in the sport. Shakur Stevenson's bold prediction that Crawford would box the S out of Canelo only adds fuel to the fire, drawing fans deeper into the narrative of this David vs. Goliath battle. The intrigue lies in Crawford's ability to bring his technical mastery, speed, and IQ against Canelo's power, experience, and methodical aggression. This is the kind of matchup that transcends the sport, captivating casual viewers and die-hard fans alike with its mix of risk, reward, and raw emotion. However, the question of fairness looms large, as many argue Crawford must first prove himself against the top contenders at super middleweight. Fighters like David Benavidez, Artur Beterbiev, Dmitry Bivol, and David Morrell have been waiting in line, each possessing the physicality and experience that seem better suited to challenge Canelo. The debate about whether Crawford has earned this opportunity or if it's a leap too far adds to the drama surrounding this potential fight. Ultimately, this matchup could be a defining moment for both fighters, testing the limits of Crawford's greatness and Canelo's legacy. Regardless of the outcome, this fight has the makings of an iconic chapter in boxing history, one that fans will debate, relive, and cherish for years to come.